New Echidnut video. We're going with Priscilla. She pulled out that Yang sword. Something that only the Valachian like royalty has. What's up with that? Super weird. Al, also from Wallachia, is in the witch's cult Metia's. What the flip, Al? Not cool, bro. Maybe Echidnut will talk about it. But this is the season 3, episode 6 reaction analysis thing. We got 2 more episodes of the attack arc, and then it's counter attack, which I don't think airs until like January, February. So we don't got too much more ReZero content for this month and next month and the next month. But let's get right into it.
Guys, you're not gonna believe this, but this episode of ReZero was the best episode of the season so far. Nah, I think last week's episode was better, but this was a banger. It was just more of a setup episode with some pretty interesting developments, like the after credits scene you probably missed where Amelia catches Al trying to communicate with Regulus. There was also quite a bit of cut content this week, but I'll talk about all of that later in the video. Now,
Okay, so why is Al talking to Regulus? Is Al snitching on us, or is Al snitching on the witch's cult? Who knows? We last saw Al with the whole gang, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go look for Priscilla." Priscilla's right here, and she's got the Yang sword, so she's fine. She blitzed all those little demon beasts, whatever they're called. Al probably knows that she's fine. So that's just a cover story. Al went somewhere, like one of the towers, and told someone to open the flood, or maybe he opened the flood. I think Regulus was talking to Capella, and Capella was like, "I didn't open the flood. What do you mean?" So I'm gonna assume that was Al. So was Al helping us by opening the gates? Who knows? Subaru doesn't know that, and I don't. Yeah, Subaru has no clue that Amelia knows so much stuff. I hope they meet up and then they go over information, and then something's gonna happen. Subaru's gonna pass away, and he has to make do with all of that information, and it's gonna be a lot. I assume Amelia gets kidnapped again, honestly, just to like make things go similarly. He just wants to minimize casualties. I think kidnapping is not on his agenda. So he'll save everyone from Sirius. Amelia gets kidnapped, and then he'll restructure his Capella battle, I would assume. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
This episode of ReZero is obviously the most important thing to happen this week. As you might have heard, there's also an election going on right now, and I just thought I should tell you guys who I voted for. After all, this is the most important election in the history of Lagunica. Lion Krush was never the same after she lost her memories, and Crooked Anastasia wants to open our borders to Kararagi. Sleepy Amelia is 115 years old, and Felt is probably the rightful heir to the throne, to be honest with you. But Priscilla is easily the hottest character in all of ReZero. If you guys thought I went overboard gooning for Capella last episode, then you are not prepared for me to talk about Priscilla. When this scene gets animated, it's gonna change the world more than any election ever could. I'm actually worried that you guys might get pregnant just from watching my video. Priscilla made me lose No Nut November last December. I mean, every time I look at her, I feel like Al, cause I only got one hand free. This scene with Priscilla pulling her sword out of thin air was pretty badass, although it's a bit different in the novel. This is the Yang sword, or the sun sword, so it's always described as being drawn from the sky. And even though Priscilla whips this thing out at every minor inconvenience, it's still one of ReZero's 10 legendary swords of power. The only other one we've seen so far is the dragon sword, which is in possession by Reinhardt. So this Yang sword is one of the strongest weapons in all of ReZero, even if Priscilla might sometimes use it to squish a spider. The anime skipped an interesting scene right at the end of their conversation though. Priscilla was supposed to tell Subaru, "Time and time again, you really do seem like a man with extraordinarily good timing." And then she flashes him a dark smile after saying,
I assume that's just Al also letting her know that he knows stuff.
That obviously Subaru's extraordinary timing.
Because Roswell, Ram, and everyone in Anastasia's party also said basically the same thing, that he just has amazing timing. I think Rem said the same thing as well. Krush, all them, they had during the white whale fight, he was like, "Oh, you guys have good timing." Huh.
is just a result of him using Return by Death, but he didn't even die here, so I don't know why Priscilla said that. It feels like her and Al just act overly suspicious for literally no reason sometimes.
But he has died though. His most recent death got him, Amelia, and Beatrice all away from Priscilla, so Priscilla could go do her own thing. So I think it's still timing because of her turn by death.
So obviously Subaru was pretty cooked at the end of last episode.
Also, actually, he's probably gonna say it right here, but that weird scene with like the purple mass of death and then the dogs, I completely forgot in season 1. Subaru has like a million curses inside of him from those mob beasts. And then there was this, when Rem went to go out and kill all of them, he still has the curses in him, but all the mob beasts are dead, so the curses don't activate. Now he has the dragon curse inside of him, so those two curses are like fighting. And I think the dragon curse won. This is how I'm interpreting it. So he currently has like the best cursed immune system right now. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the dragon blood would be shitting on him, but the dog curses are like keeping the curse at bay. Either way, bro is like immune to curses right now because they're fighting each other.
And a lot of us probably expected him to die. Well, instead we got this weird sequence showing the demon dogs from season 1 facing off with a dragon. In the novel, it's described as two forces battling each other to claim ownership of his identity. Because in this timeline, Subaru still has the curse from season 1. Even though he killed the dog that cursed him, that curse is technically still there. So that curse, battling with Capella's curse, ends up keeping Subaru alive and healing him somehow. I don't really know how it works, but as we can see, Subaru's leg is able to heal itself now, without any negative side effects, other than, I guess it looks kinda fucking weird. The problem is, Capella poured this shit on Subaru's leg, but Krush took it right on the face. So if she doesn't win against the curse, whatever that means, then her face might end up looking like Subaru's leg, or worse. Hopefully she doesn't turn into one of these demi-beasts, because that would probably affect her chances of winning this election. Honestly, the demi-beasts were not as cool as they were in the novel though. They were supposed to look like disgusting masses of flesh with weapons growing out of them, but obviously their designs had to be simplified because White Fox only has limited resources. I don't dislike the new designs. In fact, one of them kind of reminds me of a Dagonoth from RuneScape, but I do still prefer how grotesque and fucked up they were in the novel. Regardless, if Capella can turn dead bodies into those eggs that hatch these things, then there could be hundreds of them roaming around the city right now, and for every person they kill, Capella can make another one, so it's pretty urgent that we take her out as soon as possible. Which Regulus almost did this episode. He actually considered killing Capella for scaring Amelia with her broadcast, and once again, it seems that all of the archbishops fucking hate each other. Don't get it twisted though, Regulus does not care about Amelia's feelings. The only reason this upsets him is because Amelia's feelings inconvenienced him, so the reason he's mad at Capella is entirely selfish, as expected. At first I thought Amelia was acting a bit out of character here, because after season 2 she
It inconvenienced him. So he needs the wedding to happen. So his power is definitely related to having wives. Or like I've mentioned a couple times, I'm thinking there's some body sharing damage something going on here. I would like to see his other wives like in action, I guess. Like, are they strong? Are they regular people? How does that, like, is Amelia sought after because she's strong and pretty, or is she just pretty and can take a punch or two? I wonder if that's how we're gonna beat Capella. Get Regulus to turn on Capella, and then we beat Regulus because we kill all of his wives. Then he's like powerless, and then Sirius just gets, I don't know, 1v1 in a dark corner so that way no one's affected by salt washing. And then Liebite and Kaitos is just locked up in a prison cell while the other two get passed away, and then yippee! I don't know.
kinda stopped being a damsel in distress who needs a man to save her, so I imagined she would stick up for herself a bit more and maybe stand up to Regulus.
Okay, but she knows how strong Regulus is, so what the no, I disagree. I totally would do the same thing. She is doing the super method of getting information first.
Regulus here, but in the novel it says Regulus Corneus was stronger than almost anyone else Emilia had ever encountered before. He might even be a match for Reinhardt. So it actually makes sense for Emilia not to mess with him here, and just to clarify, this is just Emilia's opinion. It's possible that Regulus could be on equal terms with Reinhardt, but one character's opinion doesn't necessarily confirm that. What I can tell you is that the author said in a Q&A that if
Regulus is stronger than every single archbishop and every single witch except for Satella.
all the archbishops and all the witches had a free-for-all fight to the death, Regulus would be the only one left standing. Obviously, I think that's excluding Pandora and Satella, but that should still put it in perspective how dangerous this man really is. Although, it's interesting how, despite being one of the most overpowered characters in ReZero, he's still unable to detect Emilia's presence here. I just feel like any other archbishop would be able to easily sense that someone is spying on them, and Regulus seems to lack a certain degree of either awareness or competence that the other archbishops have.
He does get caught off guard a lot. Every single time he's been attacked, it's not been a very strong attack, but he's been caught off guard. And they've been like very damaging. Like I just remember back in season 2 when I don't remember who did it actually. I want to say it was Geuse, but he like had his whole neck twisted. And I think it was the Invisible Hand did it, so it makes sense. Bro wasn't ready for it. His neck I'm going that way now. But he was just fine. He just laughed it off. So, rip wife number 23, but life goes on.
The best way I can explain it is with this video game analogy. If Sirius, Capella, Gluttony, and Betelgeuse are diamond level players with a lot of skill and talent, Regulus reminds me of a bronze level player who just happens to be hacking. And then I guess Reinhardt would be a diamond player who's also hacking, and his family owns the company that made the game. Anyway, it's revealed that Regulus has only 53 wives left out of 291, which means 238 of them died, and I don't think old age took a single one of them. This episode, he nearly kills number 184 over literally nothing, and the most disturbing part about that was her lack of reaction to it. Normally, a near-death experience like this would leave you in shock, but she's essentially unfazed by it, implying that she deals with this kind of shit on a daily basis to the point that she's become desensitized to it. An easy to miss detail that I find incredibly interesting during this conversation between Regulus and Capella is her claim that she wasn't the one who opened the floodgates. Now,
Which I think is obvious because it happened while she was fighting Subaru. So it had to be Al, right?
I'm not saying we should trust Capella and believe everything she says, but this isn't the only evidence that something weird is happening in the city right now. Kiritaka just went missing this episode, but last episode he says, "No one can get in touch with the Council of 10. Except what he really said in the novel is, "They've all been fucking murdered." And that doesn't make any sense, because they were the only ones who knew the location of Typhon's remains, so the witch cult kinda needed them alive in order to get that information from them. And what if I told you that they were killed in their homes even before the first broadcast? That means Capella didn't know they were dead. Now, I had a pretty good theory when I was reading
So Kiritaka's a fucking traitor.
this for the first time. I thought Gluttony stole the memories from the Council of 10 and killed them afterwards, because if he has their memories, then he should know where Typhon's remains are. But the problem with that theory is that it doesn't make sense why he would flood the city. The witch cult still has other demands, and flooding the city was like most of their leverage. They just wouldn't play all their cards for no reason like that. Anyway,
Or it was Omega. I completely forgot Omega was on the loose. It was either Omega or Al. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me. Who would kill the... Okay, maybe Kiritaka killed the Council of 10 to, like, preserve secrets. Makes sense. If they're dead, they can't spill the secrets. But, I mean, I guess Omega's pretty, like, cold-hearted, too. She could kill them as well. Al, sure, as well, maybe. Oh, no. I don't think... Well, no, Priscilla is just not getting to... So unless she was, like, laying low for week, then I don't think Priscilla and Al could have done it. So that leaves Omega and Kiritaka, I guess. Yeah, those are the only two I could think that could kill the Council of 10. To the flood, we're gonna add in Al to that. I think Al has some precognition that he's not letting on.
I thought Liliana's singing was really good this episode, and apparently so did Priscilla because she's fucking vibing. Normally, us filthy commoners wouldn't be allowed to touch Priscilla like this, but for some reason, Liliana gets away with it. Even Al can't touch her without being physically assaulted. And speaking of Al, it seems like he fails the try not to be suspicious challenge every episode. Remember, he casually mentions Typhon, the Witch of Pride, whose identity was supposed to be a taboo that nobody knows that much about. And then he randomly told us the secret to countering gluttony's authority before anyone even knew that gluttony was in the city. And this episode, in the after credits scene, Al fucking dials up Regulus and gives him a call. Why does Al have a witch cult communication device, and why did he call Regulus? And also, the obvious question that I don't see anyone else asking, why hasn't he ever taken off his helmet? What is he, a fucking Mandalorian? Does everything about this guy just have to be shady and secretive? Even his face? For all I know, he could have a second arm still, somehow. I just don't trust anything about this man.
Second arm is the unseen hand. No, I wonder... I feel like his identity has to be somebody that we know. Flugel? I think Flugel's a woman, actually. Great Sage? Who is Flugel? I don't know. That whole thing gets me confused. I don't know who's who yet. Al Hoshin, maybe? Or Alec Hoshin? That would be interesting. It has to be somebody... Okay, it could totally be Alec, because look at that little hair poking out of the helmet. That's the same hair color as Alec. Hear me out. If Al has an authority, he can live for a really long time, you know what I mean? I think Regulus is a human. Regulus is alive for at least 100 years, probably longer. Who else? I mean, Juice is a spirit, doesn't mean too much. Sirius should be about Juice's age. Sirius is an elf, so maybe it doesn't count. The Gluttony trio is like 15. We don't know Pride. Who else is there? Oh, Capella. Capella's old, but she's a demi-human-ish. We'll see.
And please, guys, if you're an anime only, don't spoil yourself by reading Al's wiki page. It's not worth it. I know you're curious, but it's better that way, trust me. The best way to experience ReZero is naturally. This week's episode of Break Time continued last week's conversation between Al and Subaru, and now Beatrice knows that Subaru is from Japan, which I thought was pretty interesting. I really loved the lighting this episode, and some of these shots were just amazing. I thought it was kinda dumb how Subaru's shoe and his pants grew back along with his leg, but whatever. Next week's episode will be one of the most important ReZero episodes of all time, so make sure you subscribe to me so you don't miss that. Thanks for watching. You guys can hit the like button too if you want.
Echidnut. What did we learn? To watch the Break Time episode, and Al is suspicious. Okay, so apparently his identity maybe does get revealed. Don't read his wiki page though. Good to know. So that's my theory though. He's actually Alec Hoshin. That would make sense. Because, you know, he has dementia, so he doesn't know how long he's really been here. Maybe it's Alec Hoshin's kid. There we go. How old is Alec? It's like 400 and something. So maybe great grandchild. No, wait, it has to be a lot. Alec Hoshin time traveled. Okay. Anyways, those are my thoughts and theories and If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be here same time next week. See you guys then. Peace out. Have a great one.